morning. So, about 10 years ago when I was living in California, our pastor out there asked me to give a sermon, and I said no. And then we moved here and met Pastor Zagara, and he asked me to preach. And when are you going to preach? When are you going to preach? And I said no. Then I was doing my Bible study. So on September 10th, actually, was the day we were starting the new school year. Everything is getting started. I had bought the whole family new devotionals. I had my journal. I had my pen. It was the morning. We were going to sit down myself. I'm getting ready for the Word. I'm getting into the practice, going to keep myself going. I love fresh starts. Fresh starts, fresh supplies, new school year. And I'm ready to dig into my devotional time and put God first. I open my devotional and begin to read, and it's from the devotional called New Morning Mercies from Paul David Tripp. And it's been pretty good. Very good to keep my mind centered on God first in the morning, and Greg has the same devotional so we can discuss it, and this was the plan. Nothing super mind-blowing, but very good daily spiritual breakfast. Then I get to September 10th, and God got loud, very loud. And the header for this date in my devotional was this: perhaps today you long for the Match.com Jesus, who will give you someone to love. He will be to you what you need, your sovereign king. I personally love a really good modern analogy when working through my faith, and the Match.com kind of caught my attention. So I keep reading, and this sentence popped out to me. If love for God isn't the place where you find your rest, you need human relationships too much, and you are asking people to do for you only what your Savior can do. Uh-oh. Straight right into my heart. This sentence went right to my heart, and then it continued further down. So I pray harder and work harder to make those relationships what they will never be. I look for help to Match.com Jesus. But what I'm actually asking God to do is to replace himself with other messiahs in my life. Messiahs I can see, hear, and touch. And yep, there it is. God got really loud. So I'm sitting in my bed with my devotional and my journal, and my cell phone's right next to me. And I think to myself, this is the sermon that I'm supposed to give. And I have the choice. I could ignore it, write it in my journal, like I've done in the past. Or I could text Pastor and say, I think God has asked me to speak. And before I could change my mind or talk myself out of it, I texted Pastor, and here we are.
Amen.
God wins. And so this sentence for me got my brain thinking and moving and working through it, and not just about human relationships. I got to thinking about prayer and my prayer life, and what does that look like? So my title for my sermon was Prayer in Practice. And I thought of that in two ways. One is the way we practice prayer in our daily lives, like during the day, and the way we need to start actually practicing prayer. So the Bible has lots of examples of prayer answered, and instructions for prayer. Like Matthew 6, which also has the Lord's Prayer, says these words: And when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by men. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. Then there is this one. That's really, you hear a lot of it in Mark 24. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received and it will be yours. That's some examples of instruction in how God wants us to pray. And he gives us the Lord's Prayer as an example, too. There's lots of prayers answered. There's lots of prayers not answered. There's lots of prayers that get answered. And then the people in the Bible say, thank you, God, so much. That's great. I love that you answered my prayer. And then they go about their business and they have forgotten God entirely. I find often what my personal prayer life looks more like online shopping than a relationship. Does it ever feel that way to anyone here? Do you ever feel like you bring a shopping list of what your needs are, what your friends' needs are, and what your neighbors' needs are? Dear God, thank you for a wonderful day. We are so blessed by your grace. I pray today for patience, Lord. It is Christmas. The kids are crazy. The schedule is crazy. Please, Lord, give me patience. And peace. I would dearly love some peace. Amen. Then we sit back and we wait for God to deliver. We chuckle because often God gives us patience by growing it through practice, right? How many times have you heard the young mother in church pray for patience? And you've chuckled because you know how God's going to give it to her. You know it's going to get worse before it gets better because we have to grow the patience, practice the patience. But I think, at least for me, the flaw is still in this understanding of God being a farmer or a delivery service. Let's picture this. I have two assistants to kind of give me a little skit. We have the one person. He's looking at his calendar. He's got a lot coming up and a lot to do.
There's so much going on this week. This is going to be crazy.
So he makes a list of the different things he's going to need from God to get through this week.
Use of patience, kindness for when I get grumpy, energy maybe, persistence, humility.
And after he has his list, he maybe throws it in his prayer app. And he's been good in church, so he actually has Prime Delivery because he's been keeping his membership up in church. So these prayers are going to come through. So then the doorbell sounds. Ding dong. And he's so thankful. And he opens up his deliveries, and he has his patience, and there's instructions in a language he doesn't really understand. But he gets enough of it, so it should get him through the week, maybe. And he has his energy, and he has all of the things, but they're pretty small boxes, and he's not really sure what to do with them. And he's looking around. There's something missing. And here's a knock at the door. So this time he invites God in, and he invites God to help him in with the patience.
This is patience and it's really heavy.
Okay, and scene. How many times have you put your order and gotten the items and thanked God, but closed the door? Personally, I do it all the time. Get just enough patience to get through the thing. Get just enough energy to get through the holiday. Get just enough courage to do the thing. Get just enough, just enough. But we know that God is the one that gave them to us, so we say thank you. Thank you, God, for that just enough, at least for me. The God we believe in is scary, life-changing, scary, as Pastor tells us all the time. Pray the dangerous prayers. But maybe there's a prayer we need to pray first. Maybe the shopping list prayer needs some tweaking. Let's look a little at the items on our shopping list prayer. Patience, courage, strength, energy, wisdom, compassion, safety, peace, rest, joy, contentment, companionship, guidance, and foundation. In the morning that I read that devotional, I had a little aha moment. And maybe it might be an aha moment for someone else too, but it might be something that you've already got down. I know that I don't. I'm going to read some Bible verses that I pulled out and see maybe if you can see why they pertain to our shopping list. Exodus 15:11. Who among the gods is like you, Lord? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in glory, working in wonders? Deuteronomy 4:31. For the Lord your God is a merciful God. He will not abandon or destroy you or forget the covenant with your ancestors, which he confirmed to them by oath. Psalm 18:2. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge. 1 Corinthians 1:25. For the foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than human strength. 1 Corinthians 14:33. For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace, as in all the congregations of the Lord's people. Psalm 54:4. God is my help. The Lord is the one who sustains me. And 1 John 4:7-9. Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love. This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world, that we might live through him. So, those are Bible verses, just snippets of what God is. God is wisdom. God is patience. God is foundation. God is strength. God is our shopping list. So when we open the door and we take the package and close the door, we've only gotten this much of what God has for us. So then it got me thinking even more. One of my favorite passages in the Bible is the definition of love. Then I got to thinking, if God is love, can we read it like this? God is patient. God is kind. He does not envy. He does not boast. He is not proud. He does not dishonor others. He is not self-seeking. He is not easily angered. He keeps no records of wrongs. God does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. He always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. God never fails. God is our shopping list. God is the patience we seek. the compassion we seek. And every time he tries to give us the fullness of himself, we only ask for just enough. Just enough to get us through to weather the storm. But when I need to practice in my prayer, is asking for God to be my patience, for God to be my compassion, be my courage, be the brakes on my anger, and to be my peace. Which brings me back to our verse in John 17:20-23. My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one. Father, just as you are in me and I am in you, may they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. I have given them glory that you gave me, that they may be one, as we are one, I in them, and you in me, so that they may be brought to complete unity. The world will know that you sent me and have loved them even as you have loved me. We ask for things. We ask for healing, we ask for things. And I am tremendously guilty of this practice of prayer. Because it is scary. I think we oftentimes think when we invite God in, he will take control. In the images, we've lost the steering wheel. We've lost our ability to make decisions. We've lost the control. God has the control. And that can be terrifying when you like your life and you like your job and you're blessed. As many of us are blessed, the idea that God could send us to the middle of nowhere where he might need us. That's the dangerous prayer, and it's terrifying. But maybe it's a little less terrifying if we understand that when God abides in us and we are abiding in God, it's not that God is making decisions for us, it's that we are making decisions that are guided because God lives within us, and our patience and our strength and our guidance and our wisdom are fed by a battery that's constantly renewing itself instead of one that you have to take out and put a new battery in. God is inside of you when you let him, renewing your patience, renewing your energy, renewing. She's just always constant, never fails. Psalm 46. God is within her, she will not fail. God will help her at break of day. In Romans 11:23, if they do not persist in unbelief, they will be grafted in, for God is able to graft them in again. That day on September 10th, God shouted at me so loud, I am the peace you seek. I am the patience you want. I am the strength you need. Please let me in. Just the little bit of God I have let into my life has changed and worked in me. I have trusted him when I lay dying. One of the very few moments when I fully put myself in his hands. I have not been so trusting with my life since I survived. So, my practice in prayer right now is to abandon the shopping list and to embrace my God and take him into my whole being. Dear God, abide in me. Let your heart heal my heart. Abide in me. Amen. you have it? Ah, there's a song that you get to watch and listen to.